Welcome to Fear and Greed, the week ahead. I'm Sean Aylmer, and as always, I'm joined by economist Stephen Koukoulas. You'll find him at thekouk.com, Thekouk, thekouk.com, and on X using the handle thekouk. Stephen, good morning.
Very good morning, Sean.
So, let us have it. Are we going to have a rate cut or not?
I'd be shocked if we don't. The inflation numbers that came out last week confirmed that, headline inflation's low, partly driven by the government subsidies, but it's also just decelerating across a whole range of items within the consumer price index basket. So inflation's under control. And so if we, trim the extreme highs and extreme lows that the Bureau of Statistics do on our behalf and the Reserve Bank love, it's showing a deceleration in inflation. So in a funny way, I'm usually reluctant to look at 1 quarter of data and annualize it because that's a bit cheeky and you can get any number you want if you do that. However, I would note that the quarterly figure was 0.5, which is very low. And the 3.2 annual figure actually includes some inflation numbers from January and February and March 2024. By definition, that's how you get a year-on-year change. And that's sort of ancient history in a way. So there is a case to be sort of looking at the very short-term trends to get these meaningful turning points. And I'll see a 0.5 trimmed mean. I see the economy being weak. I see wages growth decelerating. I look around the world and see most places cutting rates, although the Fed didn't last week, but that's for obviously slightly different reasons. But other central banks did cut. So we've got this scenario where, I think our RBA on the 18th of February, Michelle Bullock as governor, will go kaboomba. There's a 25 basis point rate cut, and the reason is low inflation, soggy growth, and we want to preserve a solid labour market.
There's that data last week. If you split between goods and services inflation is still a bit too high, and that labour market is still very strong.
Indeed. Services inflation and the non-tradables, which is sort of the domestically inspired inflation, by definition. Tradables, things like oil prices, which were down a lot, and those sorts of things. We're importing lower goods prices from around the world with, Chinese economy being weak. They've got disinflation actually there. So, yes, you can cut and dice these numbers in many different ways, and it is useful to do that. I would tend to disagree that the labour market's tight. I know you and I have got used to an unemployment rate of 4% being really too low in a sense. But the way that I'm rethinking, you can teach an old dog new tricks, the way that I'm rethinking about this labour market, how do you tell if a labour market's hot, cold or neutral? The labour market is cool if wages growth is decelerating. And over the last 3 quarters, 9 months, we've had wages growth decelerating. So maybe the NAIRU, without getting into that nitty-gritty argument, heaven forbid, is sort of like 4%. And we're sort of at that level now. So is the labour market tight? Sort of. Job ads have been trending down. So it's a good number. But maybe, just maybe, like other places around the world, a very low unemployment rate is sort of something we've got to get used to because of demographic changes, technology changes, artificial intelligence, all those things feeding into the labour market numbers.
Okay, plenty going on this week ahead of anything that the Reserve Bank does in a couple of weeks' time. House prices for the month of January.
Down, prices are down as status quo might be singing. It looks like Sydney has joined the ranks of Melbourne with prices dropping, not much, but the aggregate national figure will be about minus 0.2-ish, minus 0.3. And even the places that were hot, Perth, Adelaide, Brisbane, the rate of increase is slowing down. So house prices will get a little bit of a story confirming that house prices are edging lower.
Okay. What I reckon is really interesting this week, but then for the rest of the year, and this is one of your favourites, is retail sales, but the new household spending survey that the Bureau of Statistics is talking about.
Yeah, retail sales we know about. They're the thing that's been published for many, many decades now, but they've experimented. The new statistician, David Gruen, fabulous statistician, love his work. He's sort of revamped the way the ABS calculate data. It sounds a bit of a pointy-headed thing, but it's really important for us to sort of look at. But the household spending survey is retail sales as its base, plus includes a whole bunch of services in the figure. So it's a much closer move towards total household consumption. There's a lot of extra spending items that they include in there. So it's roughly double the size of retail sales. So one of the things
wow.
that we used to get the retail sales numbers, yeah, they're up, but we don't know what happened to household spending on services. Well, now we have a fair bit more information on that. So that's coming out later this week, and it's we get the retail sales numbers too. They'll be obsolete in 12 months' time. But the household spending, it's a comprehensive overview of where we consumers are spending our money.
Wow, that's very exciting.
And by the way, it's going to be a little bit weaker. Just now, what are we looking for? Yeah, we had the Black Friday sales, and of course, that was not so much services; it was goods. It was items, clothing, white goods, and makeup and cosmetics, and all that sort of stuff. They're going to pull back down, so we're looking for a softish number coming on household spending, sort of like a minus 0.2, 0.3 after an increase of about 0.5 the previous month.
And just quickly, the other data this week, building approvals, job ads, what do you expect from them?
Building approvals, well, the long and winding road to sort of 1.2 million new dwellings is sort of started, and it's a slow start. Well, I don't think we're going to get to the 1.2 million. It'd be sort of quite miraculous, even though we're only sort of 6 months down the track of the target. But, it'd be nice to see building approvals increase. We all know that we need to build more to address housing shortages and rental market and house prices and lots of stuff. So I think the market's looking for a bit of a flat figure, but it'd be nice to get an upside surprise. Things like job ads, they've been weakening the last year or so, but the rate of deceleration has stalled. So any resumption of the fall, or quite nicely, a pickup in job ads would be interesting to see just at the margin. It's not going to change RBA or market thinking, but it's sort of one of these bits of information on the labour market, as we were discussing unemployment a minute ago, that's really important for the overall assessment of is the labour market tight, loose, or about neutral.
Fair enough. Stephen, enjoy your week.
Thank you, Sean.
That was economist Stephen Koukoulas, better known as The Kook. You can find him at thekook.com and follow him on X using the handle The Kook. I'm Sean Aylmer, and this is Fear and Greed, the week ahead.